Hello and welcome. My name is Sean Cowdrey and I'm from Omron, Australia. The year 2020 was difficult for everyone. It was personally difficult for me because I found out that both my parents had caught the South African strain of COVID-19. December was a particularly difficult time because the news kept telling me how the South African healthcare system was on the brink of collapse. I made an effort to phone my parents every day to see how they were doing, and there was a period of 2 days where I didn't hear anything from my dad at all. He later told me that he was feeling so bad he physically couldn't pick up his phone. One of the phone calls I had with my mom was around how Omron is actually improving the healthcare system and using our industrial robotics to improve infection control. This is a little bit of how that story went. As you know, washing your hands can save lives. But back in the 18th century, a man named Semmelweis was ridiculed for telling people to wash their hands. There was a disease that spread across Europe known as the Black Death of childbed. And what it was is that mothers were dying because physicians would deliver babies directly after doing autopsies. Now, Semmelweis wanted to find a solution and dedicated his entire life to understanding what happened. Unfortunately, we only acknowledged his work years after he had died, and it was the foundation of what sterilization in hospitals is today. Over here in Australia, we have a partner who is one of the oldest sterilization machine manufacturers in Australia. They make some of the best systems for the heart of the hospital where all the instruments go to get cleaned. All their customers have a common problem with these systems in that they load trolleys with heavy instruments and they wheel them around the hospital, all over the hospital. These trolleys can weigh over 120 kilos and the metal frame can get really hot. So somewhere around 130 degrees Celsius at some points. All this is likely to cause injuries. And if you add to that hospitals are generally short-staffed, these trolleys can be overpacked, and the sterilization machines have really large conveyor systems that take up precious space in the hospital. So we figured we could use our industrial material handling robots to solve all of these problems. Now, what was difficult is that no one had done this before. It was a completely new idea. We'd be able to reduce manual handling issues, increase efficiency and floor space, and do essentially everything that these AMRs do in the industrial sector for the hospitals. The only thing we needed was the perfect project. Fortunately for us, the government had invested in the Royal Hobart Hospital, a $689 million redevelopment in Tasmania. However, convincing the government to take on an idea that hasn't been proven is not the easiest of tasks. Our team spent several months trying to find and speak to the right people to be able to present the solution. And fortunately, they were able to get a presentation to the board of directors for the hospital.
I am ready to start work. Going to packing table.
So our team flew over to Tasmania and demonstrated the robot. They showed how it could navigate through narrow pathways, interact with lifts and machines, and also safely get through passages near people.
Arrived at sterilizer. Opening door. Loading sterilizer. Start cycle.
The board was extremely impressed with the solution and decided to go on with the development of the project. But after many weeks of work, our business partner decided to see if they could send the robot back. They'd come into a small problem and they weren't willing to take the risk. They were happy to just move back to the manual handling trolleys so that they could meet their deadline. But as anyone at Omron knows, we don't give up. We don't say I can't. We try and find a way to do it. We immediately contacted our head office to find a solution. Thankfully, the gurus at the ATC fixed the issue, and it took us about a week to convince our integrators that it would work. This was really the breaking point of the project, and if it wasn't for our team at the head office, there's no ways we could have solved the problem. The integrator then continued with the development and finished the solution. We commissioned it at the hospital, and it was a great success. Being such a large investment, the completed redevelopment made the news, with our solution as one of the centerpieces because of how it improved the lives of those that work there.
The $689 million Royal Hobart Hospital redevelopment is Tasmania's largest single investment in health infrastructure. Part of the Royal Hobart Hospital's campus, K-Block has also been designed to care for those who provide that care, offering staff new levels of amenities, equipment and technology to ensure a seamless focus on patients and their families. K-Block is also the first Australian hospital to have this important piece of equipment, a robot that takes trays of operating instruments to the steriliser. The Royal sterilises around 80,000 trays of surgical instruments every year, but now staff health and safety will improve by reducing this repetitious lifting. K-Block is one of Tasmania's most important developments. It's a big investment, but an important one to build better care for every Tasmanian.
At the grand opening of the K-Block at the Royal Hobart Hospital, the Premier of Tasmania said, "The Lynx automated guided vehicle robot was developed by Omron in conjunction with Atherton, and it is Australia's first central sterilising department robot, and will ensure a safe and healthier workplace to staff at the Royal Hobart Hospital." The Health Minister said that the robot will deliver better outcomes for staff by reducing the risk of workplace injuries, and will deliver 100,000 packed hospital instrument trays to the new steriliser each year. She went on to say that Tasmania has a state-of-the-art facility with state-of-the-art technology. Within Omron, the project was highlighted in our yearly report. Coming back to the story of Semmelweis and washing your hands, it's important to do whatever you can to help improve healthcare systems, even if people don't see the value at that time. For my mom, she really enjoyed this story, and it was impressive to her. She was quite impressed with what we did. And I guess I'm just really grateful to be one of the lucky few that my parents were okay. Thank you very much for watching this presentation.